a true story. So once upon a time, there was a woman who was a farmer. I think she lives in up by Washington State. And she owned a farm and had lots of animals, but she got a hankering to buy a mini horse. So she shopped around the county and finally found a mini horse, and the mini horse's name was Spanky. And she brought him home, and much to her dismay, every time Spanky was in with the other horses, he would bite them, and he was quite an aggressive little guy. And so she thought, well, maybe he needs something, maybe he's intimidated by mature horses that are probably twice his size. And so she started training him every day and teaching him some skills, thinking that maybe it would help his self-confidence, and maybe that's where it was coming from. And so she would take him into the corral every day and run him through some paces. And they had a puppy, which I would never personally buy because it was a Jack Russell. And boy, you had to keep those dogs busy. So she had a puppy that was a Jack Russell that would come and watch her work the horse through all these routines every day. And then suddenly, as the puppy grew larger, it ran to the back of the mini horse. And she thought, oh, that's kind of interesting. And then the next day he did it again. And then before you know it, he was spending a considerable part of his day either on the horse or beside the horse. And so she would start doing these, the regular routine where the horse would run, the horse would jump over barrels, the horse would jump over fences, and the dog, whose name was Dally, she would stay on that horse like she was a cat. I don't know how she dug in, but she did. And she'd modify her weight each time so that she would not fall off that horse. And so before long, both of them were going through the whole routine together every day. And she said, well, I wasn't hoping for a dog and pony show here, but that's what we got. And so she started going to like 4-H clubs and rodeos in the neighborhood and stuff, and doing her what evolved into a dog and pony act. And she said the delight from all the people, from the children to multi-generations, was just profound, and that people love seeing the horse go through the routines. But the thing that was really selling tickets was the relationship between these two, and how much they just really love the company of each other and being with each other, and that just radiated for every show that they did, how deeply they cared for each other. And interestingly enough, when they started becoming companions and partners, the mini horse stopped biting all the other horses. And so I feel like this true story is just an example of how love can really take you the distance, and can take you to lengths that you didn't know were possible. And so this story is fairly popular, and they have some YouTubes of these guys going through their routine. If you go on in the internet, do not look at the movie, which is totally not true. So someone has capitalized on these duo and put out a movie, which is not factual. But I love the YouTubes of their actual relationship and of them working together. And how, what was one of them? The farmer, she has the pony lay down on the ground, and the Jack Russell will then lay down. And she said she has never gotten that dog to lay down. ever. It's always on go with the green light, which is their temperament. And she said now he actually, or I think it's a she actually enjoys laying down and will lay down at least with a horse. So that's my story for today about unlikely friendships and how that love prevails in all relationships. And you just have to kind of wait for it and let it bloom and grow at whatever its pace is. So today we're celebrating Earth Day yoga, even though Earth Day was, I think, last week sometime. So we'll start with just closing our eyes and finding a comfortable position, and we'll breathe in and breathe out. And maybe put our hands on our navel. So they've actually done clinical studies on this, believe it or not. That when we breathe more deeply with our hand over the body parts like the bottom of the lungs, which is way down here, that the breath does go there better. So inhaling just as if we're filling a pitcher with water, feeling the lower lobes of the lungs fill, and the air coming all the way up. And then on the exhale, we actually pull that navel into the spine. And inhaling, we might actually push the tummy out, below and above the navel, feeling that air fill up the lungs all the way to the top, and then exhaling, bringing the navel to the spine. So this is the best practice for breathing. Exhaling. Although sometimes when anxiety takes us hostage, even though we don't have to lift the car off the toddler that has just run over, that reverse breathing, that fight or flight breathing can kick in. And so we always, especially when we're anxious or fearful, have to check the breath and make sure that it's running deep and not too shallow, not too at the top and not going all the way down. So sometimes the body can slip into that fight or flight, which if you're anxious, is just going to make it more difficult. And one more breath, breathing in, but raising the arms over the head, crossing the hands, and then exhaling the arms down. Inhaling up, crossing the hands, exhaling down. So as they come down, we kind of come back a little bit into the posterior plane. Inhaling up, crossing the hands, and slowly exhaling down. So we'll do this one more time as we inhale up, and this time we're going to exhale down. So as we come down to our mats, we may even slide a little bit forward with your starfish hands, coming forward, leaning.
X right here. Can you see that or not?
Leaning over the body, keeping the seat down. But now we're breathing into the back body. So inhaling and feeling the back expand. So getting into those posterior lobes of the lungs. Putting in a little bit of back breathing. And I like to think that if we do a little bit of back breathing each week, that it will oxygenate those muscles, relieve the tension there, and maybe help us to keep those muscles lax and not too tight. So then we're going to walk with the hands over to the side so that the hands are on a diagonal and folding down. Feeling that stretch in the lower back. As you may continue to breathe into the back. And then we're going to walk the hands back to the center and cross the center, going diagonally over the other knee and coming down. Getting into those muscles above the glutes. Walking the hands back to center and sliding them out in front one more time, bringing the head towards the mat, but probably not all the way down. Just slowly, deeply breathing into the back of the lungs. So then we'll walk the hands back towards the body a little bit, rolling over the knees, coming into tabletop. Then we're straightening out those legs behind us with the knees bent. And we will lift the knees up, coming onto the toes. And while we're here, we're going to walk the dog, which is sending each ankle, each heel down to the mat. I should say close to the mat. You may not, depending on your stance, get to the mat. Walking the dog, alternating those feet. Stretching all those muscles on the base of the foot. Trying to ward off plantar fasciitis. And coming up on both toes. Coming down on both heels. Stretching those legs up on the toes. And down on the heels. And then walking those feet towards the hands. And we're going to magically rise up and come back into mountain pose with the hands over the heart. The feet hip width apart. Pressing those toes into the earth, rooting, building your mountain fortress. So while we're building the mountain, I think last week we talked about the 3 bandhas or the 3 locks, which is energizing the pelvic floor, pulling in the tailbone. It's the root gate, the root bandha. And then as we come up to the navel, we pull the navel back towards the spine. And then as we come to the throat, we actually pull the chin and the throat back a little bit. Because so many of us have that floating forward chin. So pulling that in towards, just so the neck is just an extension of the spine. So these are the 3 gates. So pulling in your 3 gates. So all those gates come a little bit closer to the spine. breathing in, breathing out. Bringing the hands up to the heart. And breathing in through that heart space. Bringing the heart and all that the heart brings into our lives, bringing in kindness, breathing in compassion, breathing in tolerance. For all these living beings that enrich the earth. So then we'll send this Namaskar Mudra into the world. So we'll point the hands away from us as they go forward and exhaling and opening the arms wide into cormorant. I think they're going to be coming back soon. I haven't checked out our lakes yet. And then exhaling the hands slowly, slowly together and then back into the heart. Breathing in, breathing out, and then once again, we'll send that compassion into the world. And then open the wings wide, basking in the sun and feeling that love that's already embedded in the creation coming our way as well. So receiving the love and compassion that's naturally rooted in the creation, exhaling those hands together and bringing them back into the heart. So we're nourishing the heart with those feelings of love that saturate the creation. So we'll come out one more time, extending the wings in front, opening the wings to the side, spreading the fingers so that we can receive all the love that's coming to us from the creation. So while we're here with the wings extended, we're going to point the palms so that they're facing the earth. And then we're going to rotate them all the way up. And then we're going to rotate them down and around and up. Rotating them up. And then down, but keep going all the way around. And rotating them up, and we'll do this one more time. A little extra for the rotator cuff. And then exhaling those arms together and bringing the hands to the heart. And of course, my nose is itching. Breathing in, breathing out, bringing those shoulders back. So then taking the arms out to the side, we're going to do the owl twist. So flexing those wings to the side. Inhaling to the center, flexing those wings to the side. Inhaling the center. So we're going to go back and forth a few times, bending all the joints in the legs and the hips. As we demonstrate that gift that the owls have, which is to glide and swoop through the night air without making a sound. This also exercises the bottoms of the feet as we shift our weight. So they've even had microphones under owls, trying to pick up some sound, and frequently they do not pick up anything. So swooping to each side. Coming to the center and bringing those arms up over the head, crossing the hands And exhaling, bending at the hips, nice long back as we come down to the feet. Inhaling back up, and then we'll bring both the arms over to the left. As we come down and we revisit the swallows, exhaling rather, down to the pond and tapping the water, and inhaling up. Exhaling slowly down, and as we tap the water, we'll inhale and come up. Exhaling down, inhaling up, exhaling down, inhaling up. And then we'll do this one more time, coming to the center and the side, and then we're going to return to the starting gate. Inhaling and coming up. And this time both hands will come up and over the head, crossing the hands and exhaling and slowly, slowly folding down. Coming down like the owl. Inhaling and slowly, slowly coming up. Bringing those hands into the heart and closing our eyes and breathing in. Breathing out. As I get Deva Pramal on board. And then we're going to take our left hand in front and the right hand behind and wave that arm over our head all the way down. And then the arm goes behind the back as we wave the other hand in front. So we're taking turns, waving each arm over our head. And this is what ostriches do when they are upset. So you can imagine that from your whole arm, under your arm, there's a whole collection of feathers down here. So they make themselves large and in charge when they are upset. Going one or two more times with our huge long ostrich wings. And then we'll bring both wings up above the head and bringing the hands behind the back and interlacing those fingers. Inhaling and lengthening the body. Exhaling and going to the left. Making sure that your hands are coming out on the other side of your waist. So stretching those shoulders. Inhaling back up the center. And then we'll exhale down the other side. Bring the hands around the waist. Feeling that opening of the pectorals. Opening of the heart. Inhaling to the center. Then we'll exhale forward. Bringing the thorax near the knees and raising the arms if your shoulders are allowing you. Inhaling and coming up. Imagining your whole upper torso just as a sail on one of those boats that are coming out on Dillon pretty soon. Inhaling, coming back into a gentle back bend, and then pulling that throat gate in. Just so that the neck is an extension of the spine. Inhaling, coming forward. And after we've come forward, we'll let the arms go and have them whirl all the way around the body, coming down to your fists.
So the fists are coming down to the ground, bringing one knee down, then the other knee. As we come into either a high kneel, and here we should be able to put your wrist in between these knees. So there's a little space there. High kneel or low kneel. So I'll probably do a high kneel. Bringing the hands up over the head. Crossed hands and down. And interlacing the hands. Inhaling and once again gliding to the side just like owl. Bringing those hands around the waist, stretching those shoulders open. You can look down at the earth. Inhaling back up. And then gliding to the other side. Bringing those hands around. And exhaling, looking down into the earth, giving the neck a little twist. Inhaling to the front of the room, and then coming all the way up. And then we're going to exhale into rabbit. So bringing the crown of the head down to the ground. Massaging the brain. And then rolling back to the forehead and rising up. Or you can place your hands into the mat to help push you up. Inhaling the wings to the side. And then we're going to come into camel. So one hand is on the heel. And I've got my toes turned under. So my heels are high. And looking at the star. Letting the light shine our way through life. Coming up with the back hand, sweeping the hands together as we take the other hand back. Gazing at the star. Gentle back bend. Coming up and bringing both the fist in front of you into fist tabletop. We're going to curl the toes under and lift the knees. And the feet will walk up magically to the hands. And then we'll inhale those wings up and over and back down to the heart. Breathing in. Breathing out. So we'll do this one more time. Bringing the hands up over the head and then sliding them back behind the body and interlacing the fingers. Growing the body upwards. Creating your mountain pose. Drawing in your 3 gates. And then exhaling to the left. Looking down at the earth if you choose. Inhaling slowly, slowly back up. Inhaling so we can exhale to the other side. Feeling those hands on the opposite side of the waist. Pulling those shoulders open. Looking down at the earth. Looking forward and inhaling up. And then exhaling forward. Bringing that heart down to your lap. Raising your arms, being mindful of those shoulders. Inhaling and slowly rising up. Exhaling through the feet. Inhaling as we come into a gentle back bend. Tucking that chin in, really important when we do lawn work to try to sneak in a back bend. Inhaling to center. And then we'll release the hands, bring them forwards, and then we're gonna whirl them around and all the way down. Make a fist with the wrist if you choose. Coming down into high tabletop, and then bringing down one knee at a time. And we'll come into the high kneel. Spreading those knees apart, so we're making that foothill. Making that foothill again, so there should be some room here, some space in between the legs of the mountain. Inhaling the arms up over the head, gliding them down and behind, interlacing those fingers as we inhale. Again, being mindful of those 3 gates again. Exhaling to the left. Drawing those hands to the opposite side. Gazing down at the earth and imagining all those flowers that you see in your yard and neighborhood. Filling your mind with the beauty of nature. And then slowly turning your head towards the front of the room and inhaling and coming up. Exhaling and gliding down to the other side. Looking down at the earth. Towards the center of the room and then rising all the way up. So once we're here, we're going to exhale all the way down into rabbit. Bringing the crown of the head to the floor. So the seat is up in the air, not like in child's pose. Breathing a couple of times on the, while the crown of the head is in the ground. Invigorating the brain. And here, if you want, you can bring your hands down where your ears are into the mat and inhale and push yourselves up as we come into camel. So turning over to one heel and raising your star. So sometimes we have to make our own light in the world when it seems so dark. Inhaling, passing those hands, coming into camel again. You can press this pelvis floor forward. Breathing in and breathing out. Coming upright, and then we're going to bring the fist in front of us. And once again, lift those knees up. And here, before we leave, I think we'll walk the dog again. Coming up on both toes, coming down with both heels. And then walking those feet forward to the hands. Inhaling up. crossing the hands over the head and coming slowly back to the heart. Where we're gonna breathe in, breathe out. Breathing in, and breathing out. So then we're going to widen the legs a little, all the way to the edges of your mat is fine. And we're gonna pretend we're elephants. And we're gonna bring that trunk over the head and then down, swinging across that opposite foot. And then the other trunk's gonna come up, swing across the opposite foot. So we're alternating arms, alternating trunks. Opposite trunk to opposite foot. And I'm just swaying my trunk across that foot. So you may touch it or you may not. And we'll do one swing over each foot once again. Coming up with both trunks. And sweeping back to the heart. Locking those gates up once again. So then we're going to bring the feet into warrior one. So we'll have our left foot forward and our back foot hip width apart and on a diagonal towards the edge of the mat. So building your foundation. Might be 3 feet. Iyengar likes 4 or 5 feet, which I don't do anymore. Make sure those toes are lengthening and pointing forward. So we'll bring both the hands up to the left and exhale into that front knee. So both elbows are high. And then we'll switch to the other side. Keeping that knee bent, taking them over to the original side. So this is called Baba Warrior or Loving Warrior. So here, the hand is going to go all the way back on the waist. So our bent elbow points right in front of us as we twist to the side. And then we slide those arms out towards the front. And they go, in this one, they don't go straight up. They are on a diagonal. It's as if we're reaching out to another living being. And then crossing the hands over the heart. Being that loving warrior spirit. Then we'll straighten the legs. Bring the hands the palms together. And then we're going to try this one more time. Breathing in. Breathing out. And then we'll glide both arms to the left side, sinking into that front knee. Just for a couple of breaths, and then we'll glide the arms over to the other side. Making sure that front elbow doesn't fall. Leading our way forward, shining with that heart. Then we'll come over to our original starting position. And coming to the other side, and that arm is going to roll all the way back and settle on the top of the waist. And then we're going to follow it. So we're going to twist to the side so that the bent elbow is completely turned on a perpendicular angle to the side. Then we're going to let both arms loose. They're going to fly towards the front and into a diagonal. So we're still bent in that front knee. Breathing in and out a couple times. And then we'll bring the hands, cross the hands on the heart. So then we're going to bring the hands down to this lead leg because we're getting ready to bring that back foot up right next to the front. So we're leaning forward, bringing that foot up, bringing the feet together, and inhaling up. Need to make sure I don't decapitate myself on Zoom. Breathing in. Breathing out. So then we'll try this Bob Warrior on the other side. So bringing the other foot up front. So it can be the lead foot. And then taking the other foot a little bit towards the other side of the mat and on a diagonal. And making sure that it's a good foundation for you. And we're twisting the hips so that they're towards the front. So making sure that these headlights are facing frontwards and like this one isn't back. So pointing both the headlights towards the front. And then we're going to exhale into the front leg as we bring both the arms to the side. Raising that bent elbow. Taking a couple of breaths and then gliding them to the side. Gliding them to the opposite side again. Coming back, and as we go to this side, this is where the arm continues all the way around the back and parks itself on that waist, and we turn the whole torso to the side. Breathing in and breathing out as we turn to the side. And then we're going to release both wings. They're going to come towards the front. And we're going to raise the arms so they're in a diagonal over the head. It's like we're reaching out for someone. And we'll bring those hands crossed into the heart. So there are times in life where we have to protect and nourish the heart. So we'll do this series one more time. So we'll sweep those arms out wide. Breathing in. Breathing out. And then exhaling the arms to the other side.
I know.
Gliding all the way over. Once again. And then this hand continues around to the middle of the back. And once it's parked there, we're going to turn this bent elbow and the torso all the way over to the side. Challenges the balance, just a scooch.
Smells. What does that mean?
Inhaling.
Grease?
Mort and Karen might have to mute themselves.
Not necessarily. We have to mute.
Inhaling both arms forward on a diagonal. And then crossing the hands over the heart. Breathing in. Breathing out. And then once again, we're going to start leaning forward and bringing those hands down to the bent knee so that we can bring the back leg forward. Leaning forward and then bringing that leg up. I had to scoot back a little bit because I'll decapitate myself. And inhale up, spreading the wings wide and bringing the palms together over the heart. Taking a few seconds just to breathe in, breathe out. Kind of look at our gaits and see where they are. Do we need to adjust any of them? Then we're going to sweep the arms over the head and come down because we're going to go into gate pose. So first we're going to come down with one leg in front. Doesn't matter which one, because we're going to do both. And then we're going to turn this leg to the side. So walking it over to the side of our hip, and then we're going to slide that foot out so that it's on the heel. The heel is pointing up. The toes, no, the heels are not pointing up. The toes are pointing up. Bringing the hands to the heart and then sweeping the arms out and exhaling to the side. Breathing in, breathing out. Inhaling both arms up. And then we're going to breathe them both down to the floor in front of us. So maybe coming down on your fist. And then we're gonna walk the fist over to our leg. And one will be on either side of that leg. Or you can do TP fingers. The ankle is in contact with the floor. And we're folding over that leg. Toes are pointed towards the ceiling. As Deva Premal sings this song about love. Then we're going to pop the back hand over the leg, walking the hands towards the center. And once again, we're going to try to come up into that gate. And one more time, bend sideways and umbrella the hand, rainbow the hand over the head. Being that gate of tolerance, inhaling back up and exhaling. So we're going to bring this knee in, hopefully without sliding down to the ground. So then we're going to bring the other leg up. So we'll bring it in front first, bringing the knee and foot in front. And then we'll kind of heel toe it over to the side. And as it reaches the side, we're going to slide that leg out so that the heel is, rooted into the floor and the toes are up. Extending the wings into a T position. And initially just coming down on that leg. Breathing in and breathing out as the hand might slide down the leg a little bit, giving you permission to come more deeply into gate. Inhaling up into that basic T posture. And then we're going to fold forward. So putting your fist on, coming down onto your fist or onto your TP fingers. And once again, we're going to walk those hands to the side, jump over the leg with one as we lean over that leg. Breathing in and out. And then popping that back hand over the leg. And then walking both those hands to the front. Where once again, we'll walk them towards the body and come up into the T form again. And we're going to slide onto that leg, but this time the upper arm goes over the head. Rainbows over the head. So sometimes when we open our gate, we're just bringing in good company. And sometimes the gate swings the other way and we bring in people that sometimes are difficult for us. But most of the time it should be good company. People that cheer you on in your spiritual journey, in your personal quest for balance. Inhaling both arms up. And then we're going to bring them down as we try to scooch that leg back in towards center. And let's spread the knees and come down into child's pose or metta. So coming into child's pose and honoring the earth. And remembering that sometimes it's important to go into the mountains, to get out of the city, to spend time with nature. I think the quote I had this week was, let nature cleanse your spirit. So making time to be in nature is like a spiritual practice. And in difficult times, it's almost a mandate that you give yourself time to go hug a tree, to work in the garden, to go to a park or the mountains. So there is a cleansing, there is a nourishing that happens when we're with nature. And we can let it do its magic. So then we'll come into a sitting pose. And I'm going to roll over the knees, coming into tabletop, and then lifting the knees as I come back to standing for one more pose until we go to balance pose, and that's with the legs wider than the mat. And I did a lot of this pose yesterday. So we're going to be lunging from side to side, but rather than ice racing, we're going to be working in our gardens. So bending to one side, picking a weed, putting it in the basket in the center, coming to the other side, picking a weed, putting it in the basket, picking a weed, dropping it in the basket, picking a weed, dropping it in the basket. So then going a little bit beyond the foot and dropping. Coming from side to side and picking and dropping. So we're going to do this one more time. And after we drop that weed, we're going to reach for those stars. So reach for a star, lunging, dropping it in the basket, going the other direction, reaching for a star, dropping. So I think we can recycle both these things, the weeds and the stars. Picking a star, reaching up, putting it in the basket. So we're going to do it one more time on each side. And then come into the center. As we come into the center, we'll bring the toes in, the heels, toes, heels, toes, heels, until we can build our mountain once again. So breathing in, breathing out. Choose your favorite mountain or any mountain and become that. Mountains can be formidable forces of nature in their own right. So here we are watching our gates, guarding our gates, and building our mountains. Imagine all those goats climbing on your mountain. And then we'll come to a wall near and dear to us. And we're going to stand in front of the wall, so we'll be like a couple inches in front of the wall. And as we get ready to go to tree pose, we're going to shift our weight to one side and kick one foot out. And shift from side to side and do this to get the body used to switching its axis of balance from one side to the other. And then when we've reached our beginning point, we're going to turn one foot, doesn't matter which one, because we're going to do both. To the side and start with sapling. So sapling has the toes, the ball of the foot into the ground, and the heel is on the trunk. So then we're bringing the hands to the heart and relaxing in sapling. I remember one of the things that has inspired me in the past is I read an article about someone who every year of his life, he had planted a tree somewhere. A valiant goal. And then whenever you're ready, you can either stay in sapling, or you can come up with the foot on the calf or on the inside of the thigh. We want to point this knee towards the opposite wall there, because this is a hip opener. And then bringing the hands back to the heart. And then we're going to send this mudra up. We're going to open the arms. I know you can't see my fingers, but we're going to wiggle our fingers because the trees are flowering. So being one with that flowering tree that may live near you. It's always special when the trees are flowering. Breathing in, breathing out. As you remember your favorite flowering tree in your neighborhood or yard. And then we'll eventually bring the hands together and down to the heart, to the Anahata chakra, and then bring the leg down as well. So we're going to go back to kicking each foot to release some of the tension in that base leg. And at some point, we're going to root our legs and turn the other foot to the side, embedding those toes into the earth, placing the ankle right into the trunk, and making sure again that the knee is pointed to the opposite wall as we bring the hands to the heart in celebration of the saplings that are in our world. Breathing in and breathing out. And then bringing this leg, either calf to the inner thigh, wherever you want to express tree today, and raising the upper limbs up to the sky and opening the hands. Twinkling those fingers. Bringing the hands down to the heart. and bringing the trunk down to the earth. And then we'll come back to our mats, coming down into a seated pose with the soles of the feet together and rounding the back. Coming into expression of turtle. Coming up into a seated position as we rock from side to side. Rocking and rolling those hips. So we can do this cross-legged, or you can have the soles of your feet together, just whichever position you prefer. Whatever your body is asking for. And then as we come down to seated, doing a simple twist, putting our opposite hand over the opposite knee and twisting to the side. Inhaling both wings over the head, bringing the opposite hand to the knee and twisting to the other side. Coming up above, and then we're going to bring the hands down to the mat in front of us as we come up into tabletop. As we come up into tabletop, we're going to bring one knee between our two hands because we're getting ready for a pigeon. So bring a bent knee and a foot in front. And if you have a blanket nearby, which I almost always have, I'm going to fold it over one more time and put it under my base hip. Lining my fingers, my starfish fingers up with my front knee. Coming into that beginning sitting pigeon pose of expanding the chest. Inhaling the air and then walking down. Coming down on your hands or your forearms. And maybe wiggling a little bit from side to side. Stretching but not straining. Breathing that fresh spring breeze into the hips. Not unlike the big traffic jam we had on I-70 in the mountains with all the cars pointed in different directions all over the place. Our hips suffer in the same way. And then walking the hands back towards the knee for
for a final deep inhale and a deep exhale. Drawing that knee into the tabletop, bringing the other knee forward, bringing the other foot forward. And I'm going to move my blanket around to the other base hip. Lining the fingers up on either side of the knee. Taking a deep breath in. Make it abdominal, make it deep. And then exhaling and walking the hands forward and coming down on the hands or the forearm. Breathing into the traffic jam on this side. Imagining that we're inside the cavern of our leg with all of the fascia and the muscles and the bones, and we're sending the winds and breezes of relaxation. Oxygenating those muscles and tendons. Creating spaciousness. Walking the hands back towards the knee. Lining our fingertips up with the knee for a final deep breath into the deeper recesses of the lungs. And exhaling. Then we're going to swing this back leg up and come down on the ground. Or thread the needle. So coming down on the ground with both knees bent. And then we're going to take our right leg and put that right ankle right on top of the left knee. And as we do that, we're going to put our hands through that eye of the needle and on the outside of that base leg. And pull that leg towards the chest. Opening that hip. Stretching those muscles. And then we're going to move our hands, if they're around the knee, we're going to put them underneath the knee. Because we're going to lift that spare leftover leg to the ceiling with the flat of the foot. The toes are actually bent and they're pointing towards the head. And then we'll exhale that knee down and point the toes towards the floor. On the inhale, we'll raise that leg up and point the toes towards our head. Exhale, pointing the toes towards the floor. Inhaling the leg up, and while the leg is up, we're going to make ankle circles. This is my left side, so they're like squares actually. in one direction and then the other direction. Oh, there we go. And then we're gonna do windshield wipers with this foot. So kind of trying to move it from side to side. Ha, 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 ha. And then lifting the sole of the foot so that it's bright towards the sky, and then bending foot down, relaxing that leg. So then we'll bring that leg down to the ground. We're gonna leave this leg bent on top of it because we're going to glide it from side to side. So gliding the hips in that figure 4 formation from side to side. So we've stretched it, and now we're relaxing it a little bit. And then we'll put both feet so the soles are on the floor. And then we'll take the other leg and put that left ankle on the right knee. And drive our hands through the middle of that needle and the outside of the leg and pulling it toward the chest. And I think you guys are relatively brave. My hip is making me want to scream. So while we're doing this, we're going to distract our mind and put the hands on the inside of the knee or thigh and lift that foot up to the sky, spreading the feet wide, and the toes are pointing down towards the head, and then exhaling the leg down, and the toes point towards the ground. Inhaling the foot up. That foot is flat and bright with the toes actually pointing towards the head. And then exhaling the leg down. And this time, as we bring that foot up, again, we're going to do the ankle circles. Oh, this foot can actually make circles. So as I said last week, we are not symmetrical. We strive for symmetry, we strive for balance, but something is always off. And then we're going to circle in one direction and then the other direction. And then we're going to try to move it from side to side like windshield wipers. And then we're going to relax the foot down. And once again, we're going to bring that foot down to the ground. And we're going to sway or glide or rock both the hips from side to side while they're in the figure 4 formation. While the ankle is on top of the knee. I'm going to glide side to side. And I have each hand on each thigh so that it rotates into the hand. The hand pushes it back up. Or you can do it with the palms in the floor. And then we'll do one more glide and bring the foot into the earth. Breathing in. Breathing out. And then we're going to slide both legs straight. Oh, no, before that, actually with the knees bent, we're going to slide each hand, palms down, so that they stack on top of each other. And then we'll straighten the legs. Because we're going to do the snow shuffle.
So the snow shuffle is walking the feet up one at a time, just like we're cross-country skiing, up to the sky. And then while we're here, we're going to come back down. One foot at a time. Baby steps if you can. And then both heels will come down to the floor and we'll get ready to skinny up the mountain once again. Skiing up to the summit of that mountain and going down backwards, which I would not recommend, by the way. I don't want to know if my daughter does this. Coming down to the earth. And then once again, we're going to skinny up. Up. And we can even move those legs, even though they're not going anywhere, just opening and shutting like scissors. First, the left foot is ahead, then the right foot. We can do this in place as well. Before we start going down again. So try to at least get 4 or 5 of those in as we come down. And then we're going to go up one more time. One foot in front of the other. One foot in front of the other. And then even when we're at the summit, we're going to keep those legs moving. And the feet are flat. So the feet are bright. So we're kind of skiing in place. And then we'll start the coming downhill once again. Seeing if we can make it 3 or 4 times. Coming down to the bottom and then resting the feet. So the last one is we're going to bring the feet up one more time, but the legs are bent. They're hip width apart, and we're going to bring the arms right in the center and around, and we're going to do happy baby. Rocking and rolling from side to side. Sometimes on those core muscle workouts, we're arching the back. And it's easy to strain the back, so we're rolling it out the other way. Rolling down the river. Here we go. Rolling that back out and then bringing those feet right down to the ground and either straightening them out or bending them because we're getting ready for deep relaxation. So on deep relaxation, you can straighten the legs or have the knees kind of snuggle into each other for deep relaxation. And so before we do deep relaxation, we're going to press the waist into the floor a couple times. Just making sure that we balance the back and not strain the back. And then dropping the hands down by your sides, palms up. We'll rest and close our eyes. And remember that we are more than our thoughts. That we are more than our emotions. We are more than our feelings. And taking a moment just to remember that inner essence.
That inner teacher or advisor who is always there for us, that inner companion. Abana, May you feel that love and beauty that's embedded in the creation. And may that come your way today. Namaskar. Thank you for coming.